Hello and welcome to the 117th episode of Growing Up Geek, the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad, and I'm joined as always by my brother Rob.
Release the Kraken!
Oh no!
Summon the Kraken.
Unleash the Kraken.
Unleash, release, and summon.
I swear on Liam Neeson's beard it shall be so.
And on Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever.
Oh boy, fizzled and die.
I'm surprised that there isn't a compilation out there now of everybody who's ever said, like, release the Kraken!
Yeah.
Because it spans multiple movies and multiple generations now.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Pirates of the Caribbean,
Pirates
obviously.
of the Caribbean had this Kraken featured, and then it has in both versions of Clash of the Titans, and that's, immediately what comes to mind. But then there are other cases of Krakens and stuff like that. I don't know.
People are telling me that, which, by the way, full disclosure up front, we are not talking about Clash of the Titans this week.
Yeah, so
we
leave.
Wanted to. So leave now.
Get out of here.
We wanted to, believe me, but I couldn't find anybody to go see it with me, and I know that you had issues in being able to go out and see it, so we were Krakenless.
That's our review for it, is that there are issues with getting to see this movie.
Yes. Oh, and I have heard not to see it in 3D. I still need to come up with an appropriately gross term for taking something and forcibly pushing it into 3D.
It's like colorization, but
yeah,
worse.
but it needs to carry more of like an offensive, like a gross feeling to it. Because it's like, yeah, bending a movie over and 3Ding it.
Oh,
there's something, not quite right about what happened with that movie, but see it in 2D if you're going to see it at all, and I am still interested, despite all the negative reviews. Tons of negative reviews.
I actually am interested in it because I expect it to be fully horrible, and I want to see it in fully horrible 3D just to be like, my goodness, what a fart of a movie this is, that Hollywood was just like, well, what do people like? Well, they like Krakens and Liam Neeson shouting things, and oh man, Avatar, it's 3D. How long do we have? We have 6 weeks. Okay, we can do that. Pound it together, 3D.
Yeah, well, what you really need to have is a compilation of I am talking, but the last words will be shouted. Because that is every trailer.
By lightning.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. This is Sparta.
Yeah.
You will remain an outlaw. It's like Robin Hood trailer. Everything. Gladiator had that.
Just Russell Crowe.
Anything with Russell Crowe, basically. He was in Pittsburgh recently, and someone I know witnessed a first-hand Russell Crowe lashing out, whatever you call it, explosion, when somebody he was working with, it was for a movie he was shooting, and this person was an extra, and they said that he messed up a line, or no, the other person he thought had messed up their line, so he suddenly slammed his fist down and was like, you messed up the line, or whatever, ruined the scene. And the other person just kind of quietly told him that no, that was in the script. He pulled the script out of his back pocket, and it confirmed that it was true. He was wrong, and he just sheepishly continued with the scene. I don't know. Those are the kind of stories that I never know how to take.
The good stories are the guys who are like, well, there was a line flub, but he just rolled with it, and it became movie history.
Yeah, exactly. The Han Solo thing.
A YouTube recommendation for the week, by the way, in lieu of that is look up This Is Sparta. There was this techno dance from a long time ago, and I loved it, and I still love it. It's just the craziest thing, but Magna Carta. Stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, we were gonna have not just a Clash of the Titans episode, but a Clash themed episode. We were also gonna play Xenoclash, which was sadly delayed. It's coming out on XBLA, Xenoclash Ultimate Edition. I am salivating to actually play this game. Because I don't have a gaming PC, and what I played of it seemed really cool on the PC, but it's been delayed till, quote, early April, which is now, but we'll see when that actually rolls around. Should be bringing you my thoughts of that pretty soon.
Okay.
But in place of that, here's a farted out episode.
Clash? Yes. Clash of the news stories.
Yeah, clash of what we've been doing this week. But you know what? That's actually some cool stuff this week. Everyone is talking about iPad, of course.
A titan of a different sort.
Oh, dang.
Oh, man.
We speculated a lot whenever they announced it, and now it's out and it's touchable. In fact, it's been blended already on the BlendText. BlendText website has smashed it in a blender. Letterman was punching it. It seems like everybody wants to damage it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things is like how damageable is it? Like they even showed like a kid just bought one and like smashed it with a bat like the instant he got it, like in front of the line. There's those people who are like want to show like I am free of this material coil.
Yeah, I like that Mega64 shoots these YouTube videos of them buying video games and then throwing them in the garbage immediately, like outside of the GameStop, and then someone will just rustle it out, like Dante's Inferno, whatever.
That's great.
But so now that it's a real thing,
now that it is, I've tried to touch this thing.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I haven't been able to. Now, let me explain, is because it seems like we should talk about this. However, chances are you're probably sick of hearing about it, gentle listener. Mm-hmm. But I did go to an Apple store in attempts to get some impression of what using this thing would be like.
Yeah.
7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, they were closed.
Weird.
I know.
They were re-inflating the employees from being crushed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't know if you saw, it sold like 300,000 at launch, but and it was cool. Steve Jobs even visited one of the lines, but there was typical fanboy pandemonium at the beginning, and I imagine those employees need to recover and like bandage themselves.
Maybe there was like a robbery or something, or it was just this area of the neighborhood was like so ritzy that they could afford to close that early. They're like, well, we sold our one $700 T-shirt, so now let's close.
Well, I am interested though, since you didn't get to touch it, in what do you think now that you know all the real facts about this device? Like now that people have touched it and used it, what is lustworthy about this to you now? Like now that the sort of mystery is gone.
I will tell you what is lustworthy about this thing is kind of the ultimate app thing that this is, as opposed to like the iPod Touch.
Okay. Explain. I don't know what that means. iPod Touch?
The iPod Touch, as opposed to the iPad Touch, which we touch.
Yeah, we do touch this.
For my phone, I'm fine with my Palm Pre for now.
Right.
But I can't help but feel left out of all of the apps and crap that is happening on the iPhone.
It's a friggin' app explosion of iPad apps. I was so surprised.
And so that's something, is that I look at that and I go, wow, it really is. And then I see like, this is actually big enough to have like a two-hand like musical keyboard that I could be playing or stuff. I've seen the things they've done with the iPhone. Like you can have like a Chaos Pad and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I would like that. Mm-hmm. And then also the neat thing is I could get this and not feel committed to like 3G, phone service through AT&T because it's pay as you go.
Well, and I keep hearing people say not to get the 3G version.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to leave your house with this thing that much. Most people are going to use this as like a little media device or an e-reader,
Absolutely. And so I'm like, all right, so I can have my phone and I can also have this. There's not really a conflict of interest. Yeah. So now I'm like, maybe this is a cool idea. It would be a neat thing to get. It's sub $1,000, so if I don't quite want to get a whole new computer but just have a little thing, this might be cool.
Well, I know you were excited about the Sam & Max sort of announcement.
To top things off is the announcements of adventure gaming being taken seriously on this system, which is like, that is what I wanted to hear. Yeah. Those are the words that you say, and now I'm, huh?
Yeah, you said the right words, and I am there.
Adventure
I'll tell you
gaming.
what, I'm really pumped about all these comic apps. And I mean, there are a buttload. At launch, there's like 4. There's like Panelfly and iVerse, and I don't think Comixology has one yet. I know Marvel has a great one, and IDW, all these different vendors already have great comic apps. And I'm like, oh no. Like, I thought at least it would take a little while, but they were like at launch, these really cool comic reading apps, and I'm like, that's one thing where, you and I don't live like real close to great comic stores. It would be so nice to just download them on there and read them.
Indeed.
That's the thing I'm most excited about. I also saw, is it Autodesk? I think it's Autodesk's Sketchbook Pro software, which is what I was talking about before in our sort of guessing episode about the artwork feature.
That has to be cool.
Yeah, it's you're drawing with your finger, which is a little bit odd. I think they still need some sort of stylus for art to be taken seriously, but it's got like all of the touch sensitivity and all the different brushes you can select. Pretty cool. So yeah, that stuff seems awesome.
I'm excited definitely that this could be a platform so tuned to adventure gaming that it'll be like a new adventure game sort of renaissance type deal.
Yeah.
Also, like I was happy to see that Netflix is on there.
Yeah,
it took a while to even get licensed to like iPhone or iPod.
Right.
Like it's not even on there yet, but they were like really pushing, and they got it on the iPad, and that is something where I'm like, screw downloading Star Trek on iTunes.
Yeah.
I want Netflix, and I'm gonna watch some Faulty Towers and some Release the Kraken on there, and that's all I need.
That's all you need. I know what you're talking about. And ABC also put out a streaming app. So you had two TV streaming apps /
See, that I don't like.
Okay.
This is one thing that annoys me whenever I hear there are over 10,000 apps on the App Store.
Yeah.
Some of them are a redundant, specialized link to something that you can get somewhere else.
Oh, and it's the case too with Android apps. Like I'll download an app and it's just a link to their mobile site. But before you go crazy, that's what Netflix is doing too. That app, if you've looked at it, is totally just a hack job, like last minute of their website. Like formatted to the iPad. It's not a very attractive app, and they actually say it's a little buggy because of that. But it just basically lets you play Silverlight video files, on the iPad through the website.
But essentially, that's kind of all I need. I would even settle for like a hack of Rhapsody when the iPhone first came out. I would have been like, oh well, at least I can like somehow get it, and eventually they'll patch it up.
Yeah, of course, none of these things would be necessary if the darn thing supported Flash, which is. It never made me mad in the past, but reading Gizmodo's breakdown, like 90% of like the big websites use Flash in some way. It was interesting. They were going on and saying, we're in the world of Hulu now, and all these different, HBO's website and all the, even their own website uses Flash, and it was like, dang, that really is a handicap. If you're calling your iPad the best experience ever for surfing the web. And they say it is great for surfing the web, like truly amazing. But with sites having broken, icons on them, is the average Joe really gonna like be okay with that, or be, I know what this messed up icon means,
Yeah. Well, it may not be too long. I mean, they're demoing the iPhone OS 4.0 now.
I know,
which is going to be the iPad's upgrade too. They think it's going to be adding multitasking.
Yeah.
In a way.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Can I say real quick?
Yeah.
The thing that we were skeptical about, and it has turned out to be true, is this thing is definitely not a laptop.
Yeah.
And when you think about your laptop, you have 50 things open at once,
I have that going on right now.
Exactly, and so do I. We're recording the podcast on our laptops. This is a one app at a time situation, and that just doesn't feel like a laptop. Also, the keyboard they say is kind of so-so. It's typable, but it's not as nice as a standard keyboard. And I didn't think about this, but there's no file structure. Like, files are contained within apps.
Yeah.
But there's no like way to move files around, which is something you're just used to with an operating system like a Mac or whatever that you can't do on there. And little weird things like it still pops up notifications that you have to close instead of having sort of the background notifications that Palm has or Android has. A big thing will go bloop, you got to do this, and you click OK.
And there's your angle if you're making that Android pad to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, Flash 10 should be out soon.
Sure.
And that's even going to be like working on my Palm supposedly. So all that kind of cool stuff is in the loop.
In the loop. Well, I know Apple's never going to go with Flash. I think they're pushing towards HTML5. They basically keep saying, everybody support this, and they will at some point. But right now,
well, I think people would rather support HTML5 in the long run because it's not controlled by a single company. It's an open thing.
Right.
But I hope so. And, well, we'll see. We'll see where the future goes. But I was really impressed with everything it was doing on day one. I was blown away by the using it as a secondary monitor. Dude, all about that. And again, it was something that I thought it would take a while for that to happen. I thought it would be like some hack, but it's like, no, there's an app. It's a second monitor.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Interesting.
So all of that's cool. So that's
man.
our talk about the iPad. It was actually a little more conversation than I thought we were going to have.
I know, me too. I'll tell you another thing I was doing this week while I was not watching Clash of the Titans. I was experiencing Harry Hamlin, though. I watched the entire season. There was only one season of Harper's Island.
What is this?
Which is a show. Yeah, this is a show that was on CBS last year. It's sort of a horror/mystery where a wedding takes place on this island and all these friends and family come. But the same island was home to like 7 murders 10 years ago. And so it's kind of a weird place to be holding a wedding. And the thing is that everyone... Okay, not everyone, but almost everyone in this cast dies by the end of this show. However, the actors were not told who would die in what episode. So as you watch it, I ended up consuming the whole thing with Amber. You sort of guess who's going to go next, and you also kind of guess who is the killer, And Harry Hamlin was in the first episode. Not to spoil anything, but yeah. It has many crappy horror cliches, and it was actually a big guilty pleasure for me because a lot of it was bad,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was compelling because I wanted to know who was killing all these people, and I think that's a cool idea to not tell the actors because no one is curling their mustache, The person doesn't secretly know that they are the killer.
Yeah.
Everyone was acting like you would act. And
that's great.
I thought
that's a really clever idea. I mean, just behind the scenes work.
It had a lot of very cliched angular male actors, like soap opera style. I feel like CBS reached into their catalog and like busted out like
Trent Thickbucket.
Yeah, exactly. The attaché case. I can't remember. There was an old soap opera guy that was like that, where it was like, no Octavius,
Victor.
Yeah, Victor. It's got
Victor
guys
Barrel
like that.
Chest.
It's got guys like that in it, but it also has some pretty cool twists, and I actually think that the ending was very satisfying. I won't say who the killer is, but when the killer is revealed, I thought that person also did a good job of playing the sort of back and forth. Like, it was creepy to see them shift between their original role and this. So I thought that was great. Anyway, I enjoyed that.
You say I should check that out? Or,
yeah, I actually think it's worth checking out because it's going to expire soon. I think it expires like in 3 days.
Quick, before it sours.
I know. Quick, watch all 10 hours.
Like while I'm watching it, the clock turns over and they like turn gelatinous and like like mold grows on my TV.
It was just some bad/good, guilty pleasure horror TV there. So that was
I'm all about that. That is something that Netflix allows you to do.
Yes,
now. You can just be like, I'm gonna watch the intro to The Greatest American Hero and then stop.
Yeah,
I didn't have to
that's
rent
all I
it.
Needed.
Yeah, I'm done. I've scratched that nostalgia itch.
Exactly.
And speaking of,
yes,
there's something that happened that we didn't talk about, but is kind of news.
Okay.
And I got to try out this week was Microsoft's Game Room.
Yes, it is nostalgic. I mean, it's all about that.
Really is. I mean, in a way that I'm actually kind of excited about. And let me explain. It is nostalgia not just for, these are games that I remember and I can now play again. Like all these kind of best of Atari things that you could buy in the day.
Yeah.
But it also makes me relive a lot of those kind of like, here's a game that I remember seeing vaguely.
Yes.
Like while like shopping at like the Farmore rental aisle, and there was like some sort of like picture of a cartoon, and I looked on the back and like, what is this?
Blasterax,
yeah.
Yeah, something like that, with like a guy with a cowboy hat, and you're like, I'll never play this.
Yeah, or you wanted to rent something else, you're like, I want to play the Noid game instead.
Yeah.
And so that was something else that this game I think does a good job of like tapping into. And I say this game because it is still treated on the menu like a single game, which is weird to me.
That's my question. Can you just, I'm sure people already know this by now, but humor me, can you walk around this in a 3D way or navigate via menu?
No.
Okay.
You don't walk around this like your avatar is walking around it, but you are just using a menu. You're just panning back and forth through the 3D space.
Okay.
Because in the end, like, that's a quicker way to go about
smart
getting
move.
to the content you want. But it'll be cool. I'll select, the jungler machine, and it'll zoom in, and then my guy will walk up to it and start, like, messing with the machine.
That's a pretty good compromise, yeah.
It is cool, and then you can, like, design your own arcade room and, like, put your own stuff in there. There's even things that, like, aren't arcade cabinets that you can use. You can put down a change machine, or you can have, like, I'm going to have this guitar here, or
that's cool.
Stuff.
Yeah,
so it's really neat, and then you can invite your friends over to check out your room.
Yeah, so now to check out your room, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very nostalgic stuff there. So once you're in the game, like, you can demo them for free, right? You can play a short demo.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been amazed with how much I've been able to get away with now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like the early iTunes days, whenever I was like, wait, 30-second samples of all this music? Heck yeah.
Yeah. But this is like very long play sessions for each game, and when a new game comes out, you can demo that game, and then if you want to keep playing it, pay some money, or you just move on. And the thing that somebody was talking about is like, well, I kind of just go in for a while and find something and scratch the nostalgia itch, and then I'm done. I don't need to pay money for it, and that might be weird. Like, maybe they should like tighten this up a little, like get me hooked, and now I have to pay, because even after the demo time has expired, they've given me 20 virtual tokens that I can use that were free that I can use to extend that demo time now to where like these games are essentially like I'm gonna get so much time out of this.
That's awesome, man. I think they're doing it the right way. They're giving people a lot of reasons to get in there and stay in there, you know what I mean, and play around. Unlike something like Home, where it's like not a very inviting environment and it sort of forces people out, Yeah. This is like, come in, play with all these demos, hang out here, and, chances are the longer you're in there, the more likely you are to buy something,
I suppose so. We'll see how that goes.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be completely zero sales while people demo.
Yeah, because they've given you too much already.
But like you saying that makes me actually want to go try it. I was not excited about Game Room. I haven't loaded it up yet. And that actually makes me want to go and play some of these weird. Is there anything that you recommend? Like,
there's been a much ballyhoo about Jungler.
Of course.
Because it's such a
Grossman
weird
factor.
game. Yeah, exactly. And people have since talked about it. And I do recommend this game. It's cool, it's simple. You'll start to understand its rules pretty quickly. And it's interesting just from a gameplay mechanic. I think what's neat about this is these old games are very much just about demonstrating a certain gameplay idea.
Yeah.
Games we have now are so layered in everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So to see a game where it's like, all right, you can jump and you can kick.
Yeah.
And the enemies can only jump and kick. And it's like, what? All right. Like...
Yeah, these games are so simple, though. Do you feel weird playing them on your couch? Like, shouldn't this be on your phone,
Wait, so I'm weird on my couch, but not on my phone?
No, don't you feel weird? Like...
No,
I guess...
if anything, I feel weird that I don't have, like, a stand-up arcade cabinet, and I'm not playing it like that.
I'm saying they're so simple in technology. To be using a 360 to play it, is that odd, or is it maybe cool? I don't know.
It's cool. It is definitely neat, and it's what else is cool is that the 360 does a good job of having these all kind of like really quickly loaded up, and you can put it in a really good cool view that is recreating the old arcade cabinet. So it's like tilted. It's like normally it's just like this sort of like the corners can bend where the screen are.
I like that.
They even have like phosphorus burn-in effect at times. I walked up to
That's funny. They need to have the guy breathing next to you.
Oh man, no, that's the other cool thing is they have like arcade sounds around you, like that you can enable, so you hear other games being played and stuff while you're doing that. And one time I was playing a game and I literally saw like a guy's shoulder like pass by the corner of my eye, like Oh man, there's like somebody who's standing there like watching or just walking by.
That was always the weird thing about the arcade. Here we all are in this room. We could be talking to each other, and yet we're not.
Right. I would say the only thing that this lacks that they need to add in is like having like Phil Collins blaring over the the radio.
I can feel it come.
Exactly. You're recreating that feeling. I mean, for me, it would be I guess the Smiths. They were always playing that at the arcade that I went to, like the.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I was at some mall the other day. Dang, I can't even remember where it was. They had an arcade called Tilt. Yeah. And I just totally flashed back. I guess that was a chain. But yeah, we always used to do the one at like South Hills Village, but it was like that one is long since gone, and there was like a pretty decent sized arcade called Tilt, and I was like, oh man, memories.
Memories indeed.
But yeah, so that's Game Room, huh?
Yeah, give it a look. Shaolin Road I kind of liked, and sort of the neat thing was when you started it up, it did a RAM check, and there was like this glitch across the screen, nice. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like I literally thought the 360 might be glitching on me, but it turned out to just be, no, we're accurately representing the feeling of playing these games.
Well, I know there were some real-world glitches on the first couple days with Game Room, but hopefully they've gotten those worked out. And it really sounds like their heart's in the right place.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best way I've ever seen this whole retro thing done.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more. They're going to be adding a ton more titles in a couple weeks here, I think. They're going to get on like a regular release schedule. Anyway, Game Room sounds cool. But yo, there was some Walking Dead news today.
What?
This morning, you probably saw the Twitter post I put up. This morning I was checking my phone, checking some news, and I saw that they have cast Rick in the Walking Dead series, the main character, Rick Grimes, and the actor who will play him is an actor I actually didn't really have a lot of familiarity with, and that is Andrew Lincoln. Nothing comes to mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I posted this incredibly sappy, bad YouTube clip that was on there that was like, machinima that somebody had put together. Or what is that called, where they just make a music video? Like
it's a montage.
Yeah, it was a montage, but it was like some Nickelback song or something.
A mashup. It wasn't even that. No.
Emotional music that the person who's giving the video, clearly they're showing what music they like, even though it's probably not the music.
I was very confused by this Twitter, by the way.
Yeah,
first of all, I didn't know that was the character's name in Walking Dead. Like, I didn't piece that together. Yeah. And so I'm watching this thinking it's going to be like a funny video. Nope. And it's just like this really cheesy thing, and I'm like, okay, at some moment she's gonna like, do something funny, or
nope.
oh, this is crap.
Yeah, it's like, just footage of the show called Afterlife, which was a British TV series, and Andrew Lincoln is that main character. So that guy in that cheesy clip, that's Rick.
Well, cool.
Sorry, I guess
that was probably the worst way for me to find out about that.
No, sorry. Yeah, I just posted that he was the new Rick. I should have said that from Walking Dead. But I sometimes feel like people are smart enough to get that. Apparently, I
wasn't smart enough.
No.
Nobody like.
Anyway, Andrew Lincoln was in the movie Love Actually. He was Keira Knightley's boyfriend in that movie. That's probably the only thing American audiences will know him from. And he has a British accent, so he'll probably have to do a fake American, which is something that I know, but Hugh Laurie has nailed that, in every episode of House, and we can only hope that this guy has the chops. If it's AMC's typical quality, I'm sure they're not going to let us down. And the more I look at him, at first I was like, well, he doesn't look like the total doppelganger of the comic, but it's growing on me, and I'm like, okay, I can see A, that this guy can act, and that's key, and B is, it's sort of forming in my mind, he's sort of like an everyman, and almost looks like he has like a sensitive side to him. Obviously he's in a lot of romantic things, but that kind of makes sense for Rick, because he's got a lot at stake with his family, his wife, his son, and he's not necessarily the super tough dude. He's just put into a situation where he has to become that.
I guess that I can feel better about this overall than if they were to cast some sort of action hero.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be some dude with an angular face. Maybe like a chest butt huge or whatever from Harper's Island. But no, it just, it's a guy that looks like he's just, geez, I'm in a zombie invasion and I got to pull my family together here, I like that.
Sounds
I do
cool.
like that.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit of Walking Dead news. That show, in case you don't know, it has been greenlit for 6 episodes, so that is definitely happening. They're going to shoot in July in Atlanta, and Frank Darabont is writing, directing, and man, cannot wait to see that on TV.
That'll be so sweet.
Still think they should probably try black and white, if anything, just to avoid the the gore factor, like the Kill Bill problem with the so much gore that they turned it black and white.
But you have the blood be red.
There you go. No, see, I don't think they can get away with.
I know that's too stylistic. If anything, though, I think it might be smart to do it in color because they want this to be real life.
Yeah.
If this is really happening, and so to have it just be as non-stylized as possible, it's just.
Yeah.
If anything, I'd be like, have shaky cam. Have like Neil Blomkamp type stuff.
You can never say his name right.
Blomkoff.
Yeah, say it right and then say excuse me and say blown cough or something.
Yeah. All right. So, but something like that where it seems like this is documentary footage or something like.
Yeah. No.
That is what I think they should go for because that's the emotion that I think the comic book kind of evokes.
Yeah. Just real life
and where it kind of lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, I guess we're moving into the Specula-tron area.
Of
because
course.
They're kind of like 2 small stories that I was like they're like very small, like this is happening and then nothing else, and I'm wondering, well, what does that mean? So I kind of want to like
dual wield.
Yeah, let's say like what could this be? First of all, just kind of simple, but I'm excited about the possibility of a slimline Xbox 360 in the works.
Yes. Based on one blurry Sasquatch photo from one
It always
angle.
is. It always is.
On Farley Tech's website.
If you look really close, now who has the time for this? If you look really close, you can notice that the processor serial code is 1 point digit shorter, which, as we all know from the old Xbox line, indicated it's like okay.
Someone got a hold of a motherboard. Someone has seen the specs. Yeah, it's like, all right, at this point you just want to wait for the device to come out. But yeah, it's time for a slim 360.
I know, like they've definitely shown that they can pull it off. So sort of the things that are indicating this silent storm is, firstly, there are these photos of a motherboard that is smaller, sort of more streamlined.
Right.
That is clearly like it looks like a 360 motherboard, and so people are saying this could easily be a motherboard for a small 360. The other interesting thing was that just the other day, I don't know if you noticed your Xbox updated.
Yes, I did.
But it updated to allow the use of USB storage for saving games and files and stuff like that, which is great,
which is really cool.
Yeah, which is like, okay, so like what's one bulky thing on the 360 that we could get rid of? Well, these memory card slots.
Right.
Let's get rid of that and just have the USB ports, and now people are using those for their memory as well as other things.
Yeah.
And we have like the 250 gig hard drive in there all ready to go. And then the final thing, and this is where like I'm like Specula-tron time.
Right.
Natal is coming out soon.
Yeah.
And with that taking more box economy,
I mean, I think you've made your case right there. Like, it's a perfect storm, for Microsoft to actually do this, and I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner.
Really, I know it's such like this technology has been along for a while now, longer than it took the PlayStation 2 to be made slim. Like the PS3 has been made slim, and this thing definitely can be crammed into a smaller box.
Right. So
it would be cool to see them marketing Natal next to this thing, an all-in-one package, and just be like, here you go, consumer, just pull it out of the box, it's ready to go.
To me, the smart thing would be to just integrate Natal into the next revision, because then, over time, it will eventually become the standard. Like, everyone will eventually have it, And so developers can feel confident that they can make Natal-based games without worrying about the split user base. If they're serious about Natal,
discontinue the other SKU. Like, don't offer it without Natal.
Right. As Sony did that, they took out the backwards compatibility and then X'd the system.
Right. I mean, DualShock 3. I think no developers are having problem adapting that.
Yeah,
even
perfect
though it
example.
wasn't in there.
Yeah.
The other bit of news, which is like really like slim, but Rock Band 3 has been confirmed. Yeah, I know. It's like, well, clearly that was going to happen.
Put this story out of its misery as quick as possible.
Let me just say, okay, but what's interesting to me is that they're actually claiming this will innovate and revolutionize the music genre once again.
Right.
Like beyond that, and people are like, seriously, where can you go from here?
Oh, dude. You don't even know. That's the thing. And for the audience...
So that's my question to you.
Yeah.
What do you think would be revolutionary to do in Rock Band 3?
I'm not harmonics, therefore I am not good at these things. Like, that's the thing. And so the listener knows, like, we love Rock Band on this show. And we, early on in this podcast, spent probably too much time talking about Rock Band. But so be it. I mean, it's Rock Band, and I still love it, and I still play it with friends and stuff, and I refuse to be sort of cynical and say, oh, God, I'm so over these plastic instruments. I'm still down. Having said that, they streamline every time they release something new. I hate to say it, but I bet you Green Day will actually contain some improvements. I know Beatles contains a lot of improvements over Rock Band 2. Yeah, I guess they're not talking about incremental improvements, though. They're talking about a revolution.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
That's what the press release is saying.
Let's try to Specula-tron this out.
Okay.
It began with a microphone.
Okay, we're going a little far.
Jeez. Now, see, this is going to make it seem like they're just going to keep adding peripherals.
Mm-hmm.
They added the ability to play the guitar.
Yeah. Oh.
Then they added the ability to. They had a dance pad at some point. Then they added the ability to have all the instruments. What do we still need for the full experience? You know.
I mean, it's like, should we have a keyboard? Like, no.
See, I don't think that's necessarily where they would go. I don't feel like they would go more and more.
Me neither.
Plastic.
No.
I think they
plastic.
would go inward, like something inherently in the game that's broken right now that could be better.
Here's what I'm thinking, okay?
Okay.
First of all, the game is downloadable. Like, it lives on your hard drive, and now it's just a platform you can launch to from your menu, and bam, there's all my music, and I can just start playing with friends. You know?
Right.
Like
something integrating chat roulette style things where you can actually see other people playing with you.
Dangerous. Improve the story. Like, have some sort of narrative, because when we had Parappa the Rappa,
right,
and I've talked all about the Elite Beat agents, you know, and stuff like that. The Asian rhythm games have these wonderful narratives, and the Beatles had that, but that was kind of built in. But it was still part of the fun of it. Was you're not just playing a set list; you're moving through the story of these characters. So if you could literally have like a story,
you get
right, you're not just playing Jumpin' Jack Flash at the end of Elite Beat Agents. You're saving the world.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something here. A Captain EO style level where your sound is what kills the evil queen.
Exactly. Like, you're battling literally like, you know, using the power of metal to bring people down, you know, or to resurrect people, and have band drama, you know, like some sort of like Spinal Tap kind of thing where it's just like a generalized idea of what the Rockstar experience is like.
I don't know
either, but that's the thing. That's the weird thing. It's like, what is it? It says they're revolutionary, but I don't know if that's more than just a bunch of rhetoric.
Crazy.
We'll see, and hopefully, I mean, because it's still harmonics, it's not being outsourced like Van Halen or something. So
looking forward to seeing what that is for sure.
Yeah.
So let's move on now to our nostalgia portion of our show. This is the last portion of this show before we close out. This week, there was sort of a confluence of Star Wars things for me. You know, it was announced that Seth Green is going to be working on this new Star Wars animated series that's going to be kind of more comedic. You know, it's not Robot Chicken, but it's something that Lucasfilm is like specifically like licensing or like approving.
Ugh.
And I know, and it's targeted towards all ages.
Is this Lucas like acknowledging that it's just become a joke now?
Kind of. It's what it sounds like. Like, oh, it's a more irreverent take on Star Wars. I think Robot Chicken already did this. It's weird because there's a guy from Family Guy involved in this too. So it's like people who have already done this are now doing it, although it's more on a wide audience scale.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. But anyway, that happened, and I also, and then sort of to continue the Star Wars week, I also watched both of the like 90-minute reviews of Episode 1 and Episode 2. Mike from Red Letter Media, have you heard about these?
No.
This guy did these like epic long like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones reviews where he just like at the end of the reviews the movie is just like demolished. He makes great intelligent points, but he also sounds like Dr. Zoidberg while he's doing it the whole time on purpose. He's just like, this movie really sucks. It's a case of... You know that guy? Yeah.
I think I've seen him do Avatar, and you're right. Like,
Yeah.
It was really weird, but also, like, really informative. Like, he knows his stuff, but he's just, like, the laziest guy to listen to.
It's the biggest case of cinematic blue balls in history. Yeah. And meanwhile, he's making these great points. It was odd. And I also didn't expect the, like, moments where he hints that he's a serial killer, and then you see, like, footage of a woman chained up in his basement next to his, like, Star Wars toys. Very weird.
He's a little self-aware, maybe. That's kind of neat.
They're definitely worth watching, but it got me thinking. Even if you demolish Phantom Menace, even if you, I can now admit that those movies were bad. However, it was a great time of my life. Like if you remove the movie, and look at all of just the flux of nerdiness around that, I don't know if there's a better time of my life. For just raw geekiness out in the open, and everybody's doing it. We went to Pizza Hut the night before, or like 2 nights before, and the place was just decked out with all these cardboard cutouts, weird dudes that we didn't know the name
We
of.
got cups with the guys on them.
Yeah, Mom was collecting all the cups. She was like, I just need Newt Gunray, It's like, Mom's saying Newt Gunray. This is amazing.
We thought they were going to be like collector's items.
Yes, maybe they are not. But yeah, so anyway, it's just learning the information about the prequels one little, speck at a time was fun.
Right. It's fun to unify over the dumbest thing, Like, I think that's, like, part of what being a geek is all about, is sometimes, even when something is stupid, like, you're just all unified in just its stupidness. It's like people who like trauma films. And so I remember us going to see Waterboy just because the trailer for episode 1 was before it.
Yep, and some dudes left the theater after that trailer,
Yeah, it ended and they left to go upload everything onto whatever came before YouTube.
Yeah, that's true.
It was really funny, but I can remember even like we're weirded out by that trailer, and we're just like, so wait, it's like some sort of shiny ship going on here, and what's this guy?
Yeah.
And oh man, he has 2 lightsabers.
Yeah,
just peeing ourselves the whole time, and
and then watching Waterboy, which wasn't too bad, and then they played the trailer afterwards again.
Yeah.
I remember they said, we'll show it twice, and I'm like, those dudes that left, they're gonna miss it,
They're not gonna miss it. They're watching it on their way home on a little video camera.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, and the soundtrack. I mean, sort of what started me on this whole Star Wars bend this week was listening to the Phantom Menace soundtrack again, and being like, dang, this music, if you don't look at the movie attached to it, is pretty darn good, and like it reminds me how I bought that soundtrack, and I wouldn't look at the track titles because I didn't want to ruin it. I think you actually had it ruined. Some dude at school that yelled out like, Qui-Gon dies or whatever in the hallway. That's like
one of those jerks saw the midnight show and was just decided to take his disdain out on everybody, like,
right,
Qui-Gon dies, and it's like,
shut up,
no,
kid.
Darth Maul. He said Darth Maul because we knew Qui-Gon died.
Oh, right.
Because there was a track on the soundtrack. Dumbest thing ever. It was called Qui-Gon's Funeral.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah. Well, that's why I was like,
this
do
just
not
to hear some good John Williams music to get in the mood for the movie, not to have it ruined for me.
Yeah, I think I put tape over that and wrote like, do not remove till March 23rd or something. And like that day that I woke up to go see Star Wars, like I blasted the throne room music from like the original.
Yeah.
I put on my hat, I put on my shirt, I put on like Star Wars related, obviously. And went down to be with my people, and there was this.
That's
people,
what Dad said.
Yeah, be with your people.
There's your people.
Yep, and it was just like nerds hanging out. Some dude with the back half of a Darth Vader mask, smoking a cigarette. Just not caring and buying tickets. Now that release ended up being a lot less exciting, I think, than the special edition, You know, when we had a full raucous crowd that was just cheering and shouting. That was more like people just sort of sitting in disbelief, you know, and how bad it actually ended up being.
I mean, I do remember it being such an awkward, like, opening. Like, you know, the lady comes out and it's like, George Lucas is so happy to have you here for the first attack, you know, and may the force be with you. And everyone's like, yay.
What's weirder? What's weirder is sorry.
The screen pops up and it says a long, long time ago, and the kid goes, "I love this part." Like,
yeah, some dude shouted, "I love this part," and it ruined for me what was like a fantasy that I'd had for like the last 20 years of what will I do when I eventually see that long time ago in a galaxy far, far away again. Like when it finally pops up again and it's new. And here it was ruined by some dude shouting.
I don't think that ruined it for me, though. I thought like that I was feeling that giddiness, and to have somebody kind of overflow with it, I thought, okay, that was appropriate.
That lady, it was kind of weird because that same lady, when I saw Pirates of the Caribbean 2, came out and said, "I know you've all been waiting years to see this." I'm like, have we? Like, I'm looking behind me like, is anyone here like a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean? Like, I get that it was an okay movie, but like, are there like pirates heads or whatever?
It's weird. Like that, I went to Disney World, and for whatever reason, like that's like the biggest thing ever to happen to Disney. And I was like, really? Like, I mean, it was an alright movie. I saw it like once or twice.
Were we all waiting for this? Are we like visiting message boards?
I mean, I'm like, I think that I know what's going on. I haven't been like out of the loop.
Yeah.
Really?
There was that lawyer guy and then the squid guy.
Yeah. Apparently this is the biggest thing ever.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I thought it was a fun time of my life, and I just wanted to admit that, you know, publicly, that even though the movie sucks, and boy, this guy tears it a new one, all the way down to things revealing just obvious things like the opening crawl says that they've dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, but Obi-Wan has not been granted his knighthood yet, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the movie, he gets the title of Jedi Knight, you know?
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
When I think back at that time, I have all these great nostalgic memories, looking for the action figures, having Amber help me find my Dexter Jetster, you know, which we finally found at like a Target somewhere.
I played the pod racing game and really enjoyed it. Like, I played that game a lot.
On the PC, yeah.
So,
yeah, dang it. There were so many Episode 1 games, and there was like an interactive
remember the one
CD-ROM.
where Liam Neeson's voice was like this Scotsman? Because I think they were like, they didn't know quite how he sounded, so they're like, okay, we'll go with like how he sounds in Rob Roy. It's just like, Obi-Wan?
Yeah. The still information was sketchy still when they developed that game, I guess.
However, Weird Al Yankovic apparently got an early viewing because his
he nailed it.
He nailed it. He knew everything about that movie, and we were blown away.
I know.
Away.
He took such a risk too. He said later, like, "Well, the internet," and I'm like, "Yeah, but geez, like, it could have been so wrong." Anyway, that is going to have to do it for this week. Thank you for listening. If you would like to send us an email, you may do so. Our email address is mail@growing-up-geek.com. You can follow us throughout the week on Twitter at twitter.com/GUGBrad and GUGRob. That's going to do it. Once again, my name is Brad.
Jeddah Bobo.
And we'll catch you next week.